you for attending the Tour de Force webinar today. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Elliott with Tour de Force to do the presentation. Ryan, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks again for allowing us to present today and to be a part of the TUG event here. So again, today we're going to talk about Tour de Force, and really what we're going to focus on is the Tour de Force difference, our CRM and BI solution with direct integration to your Infor ERP. As Gary said, my name is Ryan Elliott. I am a senior application engineer here at Tour de Force. If you have been to our website or if you've been to TUG conferences in the past, you probably have heard my voice. I do a lot of presentations. So if you have questions, as Gary mentioned, put those in the question and answer bank or raise your hand, and we'll get to those at the end of the session today. I'm not going to spend a ton of time in slides, but I do want to set the agenda and talk about a few things that sets Tour de Force apart from other CRM and BI solutions. That is going to be the start to the day. That's what we're going to get into first. We'll talk about the flexibility or extensibility, if you will, of Tour de Force and what we can do especially with the integration to your ERP. And then we'll go through what you can do with Tour de Force on a web page and on the desktop. So Tour de Force is offered in two flavors. Number one, you can use it with the Outlook toolbar, and you can use it from the desktop or laptop that you have as a direct install, as well as the capability that we have with our Tour de Force web, which can be used from any web-enabled device. So we're going to see both of those today. We're going to go through a brief demonstration today as well to go through what Tour de Force can offer you. And if you have questions along the way, as Gary said, put those in the Q&A panel, and we'll get to those at the end of the session. So a little bit about what makes Tour de Force different. I do a fair bit of demos and webinars and have discussions with quite a bit of people. And the one big question is, well, what does make you different? Why are you different from a Salesforce, or why are you different from a MITS, or any other of different great softwares out there? But why are you different from them? And one of the big differences that we offer is that we partner with our customers. So you're not just getting a software, right? So we're not providing you with just software. We're partnering with you. We have our Connections conference coming up here at the end of October, the beginning of October, and that conference we are going to be recognizing another set, I believe it's 4 or 5, 10-year award winners. So 10-year members or users of Tour de Force. So think about that from an experience standpoint, from a ability to really retain our customers and provide our customers with things that are beneficial to them. In an age now where software and things online are readily accessible, it's not uncommon for people to hip hop around and jump into different CRM systems every couple of years. So to say that we're giving out some 10-year awards this year is a big deal. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's very important when you're thinking about a solution and a strategy going forward for your own company. So, we do have extensive industry experience, especially in wholesale distribution manufacturing. As that pertains to Infor, there's quite a few Infor softwares that focus specifically, especially your ERP, whether you're using Fax or you're using SX.e or you're using any of the other Infor products, and we'll get to a slide that talks about that here in a minute. We do implementations specifically for your company. It's not a out-of-the-box cookie-cutter type deal. Now, we do have best practices and we do have baseline starts to every project, so don't get me wrong on that, but we do tailor the implementation specifically to your needs. So not every implementation is exactly the same. We do have direct integration to your ERP system, so all the Infor systems that are out there, I believe we have direct integration to, at least in a one-way capacity. And then quite honestly, we just deliver more than your typical offering, more than your typical CRM, and you'll see that in some of the things that we talk about today. One of the big things that comes up in conversation, especially when I'm talking to the president of a company or vice president or CEO or even the sales managers, how do I get my guys, how do I get my folks, how do I get my team to use Tour de Force? How do they adopt the system? And there's a couple key points to think about on here when you're implementing not just Tour de Force, but honestly any software. Executive management buy-in. Right, having a commitment from your owner, having a commitment from the president as a part of the conversation, that is a big piece of the pie. That shows that your company is significantly investing in something that's going to be beneficial to everyone, and that needs to be shown. That commitment needs to be shown. The ability to get access, enter, see, manipulate all the data that's going to be in Tour de Force. Those are critical to the success of the project as well. It needs to be easy to use. One of the things we talk about, and you'll hear me say today, is that you should be able to get to everything you're looking for within 3 to 4 clicks of the mouse, if not 2. depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So, those are some things to think about when we're looking at the solution today. Creating values for everyone in the company that has access to the system, even some of the folks that don't. We definitely do that. You think about email logging, you think about the integration to the ERP, the ability to take data all the way from an account level at the ship to and roll that up all the way to the overall company level and all the different steps in between. So you may have branches, you may have regions, you may have territories, and each one of those levels has its own set of information that's beneficial for them. So those are pieces that absolutely critical to the success of people using the system. Implementation methodology, we already talked about that, but I'll reiterate, we do have strong implementation methodologies that are very beneficial to the people that we work with. We walk you through the process. This isn't just a show up, talk to you for a day and go away kind of a deal. This is we understand your business, we'll talk to you about your business, we'll get ingrained in the process, and that way when you're having questions and conversations that go along with the implementation plan, you'll have that expert with you that, hey, oh yeah, I worked on your implementation and I know you'd like to change this in the connection to your ERP. You'll have those conversations that are much more beneficial to you than, well, I've got somebody on the phone that doesn't know anything about me. So that's another piece of the puzzle when you think about user adoption. And then absolutely having the right resources involved, and that's from both teams, right? That's from our team and from your team. And we recommend specific folks to be members of the project team on both sides. We have a team atmosphere here. Our company's broken down on the professional services side into teams where they work together, and basically it allows them to understand where they're at in the process. So if our business consultant comes on site, does some work for you, and then goes off to their next project, you've got an application consultant sitting in the office waiting for questions, or you've got a business intelligence consultant that can help you with integration questions. So you're not losing out on your process from us. So that's something I really wanted to reiterate as well, having the right resources involved in your implementation. Mentioned Infor, the typical Infor users, we've got Flax, A+, Infor Take Stock, SX.e. So those are the typical Infor ERPs that we work with. Those vertical markets that you see on the right-hand side, those are also the typical markets that we're in. We've got quite a few Infor SX.e customers, obviously, from the blue dot there, or the blue square, but a number of Infor Take Stock and very valued Infor A+ and Fax customers as well. So, if that's something you'd like to talk about specifically with your ERP, again, I'd raise your hand and throw some questions in the Q&A panel. You keep hearing me talk about integration, and I definitely want to talk about that here on this slide very quickly because I do want to get into a live demonstration today. Standard integration to your ERP. Now, this is what we would do, what I would say out of the box, the standard queries or standard pull of the data that we would put into Tour de Force. Now, the connector is the center focus of what we're talking about. That BSI connector is really the black box of the magic of what we do. We don't just pull data like for like. We can, obviously, with mapping data for accounts and contacts, it's a standard process. However, with some of those values, you may want to do some calculated fields, or you may want to do something called product manager rules, or you may want vendor business intelligence. Those are all things that we can do that are check marked there because they're not things we have to go build. Those are pieces of the connector that you can say, yeah, I'd like to do that. Let me get the business consultant on the phone so I can ask him about the business process. Oh, and by the way, our BSI consultant can just flip that on and make sure you get what you're looking for as part of the implementation. So those are some things that we can do with the connector that I would consider a very unique process to what Tour de Force is. And then the data obviously is translated into the CRM, so you can see the Tour de Force there on the right. So those are the standard things that we would pull: invoices, quotes, orders, notes, invoice lines, inventory, accounts, and contacts. Across the board with every ERP, and we have 47 different ERPs, those are what we pull. Now, we do have access to other systems, so don't get me wrong on the fact that we can pull this from an ERP. That's a standard function. We can also pull from outside authorities or outside places. Third-party systems, construction bid boards, phone systems, those are all things that we can attach the connector to and pull data from. We've even got folks that are doing secure FTP sites where we can grab a file where they've got leads coming from a multi-bid project board. Those are lots of different things we can do with a connector that, quite frankly, you can't do with other systems. And that's just something unique that we've done over the years with our experience that we've said, you know what, that's gonna be super beneficial to the sales reps, inside sales, customer service folks. We need to get them that data. And then ultimately with some of the ERPs, now Infor SX.e is the main one that we do two-way integration with, but we do have two-way integration with our quote-to-quote and quote-to-order process, as well as two-way contact sync. Now again, the integration to Infor SX.e is typically where we do this. We have had a few questions about Infor Fax. We do have a two-way contact sync with that, but a lot of those, unfortunately, the legacy systems like Take Stock and A+, just don't have much flexibility for us. But that's okay, because you can still perform the same functions within our system. It just doesn't necessarily push back. So the nice part is there are some things that we can do from a two-way processing standpoint, but if you're not able to do that because your ERP doesn't have that capability, that's okay. You can still perform the one-way functions as well as having the ability to create things in Tour de Force directly. All that leads up to be honest with you, is one spot for all your data, and that's really what we're leading to with this connector and the ability to get rid of islands of information. You can see there on the left-hand side, you've got tons and tons of data in there where you're tracking your time, you're tracking your customers, you're looking at files, you're looking at reports, you're exporting to Excel, you're putting it on SharePoint, you've got a notebook somewhere. You know, those are all things that by design Tour de Force is meant to replace. So by and large, Tour de Force is designed to help you consolidate all those islands of data and put everything in one usable, functionable place. Now, whether that's on an iPad, an iPhone, a desktop, a laptop, doesn't really matter where you use it from. It's all going to be centralized in one location, which makes it super easy for reps to get access to details that they need. So from a presentation standpoint, that's really all I have from PowerPoints, and that's what I wanted to limit myself to today, is about 15 minutes into this so we can get into the live demonstration portion and then get into some Q&A at the end of the session. So I'd like to talk about Tour de Force in two capacities. As we mentioned, there are two user interfaces that we're gonna focus on. Tour de Force Web, which is a fully responsive HTML5 design, and what you're looking at is actually our 2017 version, which is basically on the precipice of being released to the public. So our 250 some odd customers will be getting notifications here very, very soon that 2017 has been completed and is ready for release. So for those of you that are currently customers that are watching this webinar, you're getting a sneak peek of what the new version of Tour de Force will be. For those of you who are prospects and looking at Tour de Force as a potential solution in the future, this is the version you would have. So I wanted to mention that because I sometimes do webinars and forget that we have current customers on and they go, wait, we don't have that yet. And that's true, you don't, but I do, and you will soon. So that's something I wanted to mention. So again, Tour de Force Web is the typical user interface of an outside sales rep. So someone who travels, someone who's on the road, someone who needs to gain access from a browser whenever they need it. And it's designed to work on any device. So I'm going to work on this in full screen so you can see everything, but it is designed to work from any device. So you can use this regardless of the device you're on. Somebody asked me today, and we were joking around, and they said, "What about a BlackBerry?" And I said, "Well, they're still functioning as long as they have access to the internet and they have a browser, certainly." And then somebody piped up about a flip phone. I said, "Well, if they have browser access, we support it, so you'd have access to it." So the typical devices, your iPhones, your Android devices, your Samsung devices, by and large, Samsung and iPhone are probably the two biggest devices in the workplace today that get used, and that's our bread and butter. That's where we focus our time, is making sure this works on all devices. So when you're logged in and you're looking at this and you see your dashboard here, we create this scenario and everything that's set up in here based upon the structure of your ERP. So the information that we pull out of your Infor system is going to be structured around what it is that you have and how you want it to be set up and viewed in our system. So it could be branches, could be regions, could be territories or sales reps, and then ultimately rolling all of that up to the company level. So you'd have the ability to have managers at each level. You'd have the ability for permissions at each level. So the nice part with the design of our system is that we take an account down approach. So if you've got a main billing account and multiple shipping locations, then the bill to, ship to methodology would apply. If you've got corporate accounts above that, then our master account, bill to account, ship to account methodology would apply. So we can accomplish a lot with our flexible connector, giving you the ability to structure your system the way that you would like to have the data come across and how you would want to view it. Number one, that makes permissions very easy. And I say easy as in easy for you to set up and use. We will teach you and train you as an admin how to do that. Number two, it allows you to leave things wide open or close things off or set it up so that you can have a mix of the two. So we can accommodate the ability to see people who own the account versus people who service the account. Or if you've got 2 reps that service one account, we can split the sales information. There's a lot that we can do with the connector and the setup that can drive very efficient processes within your business. So that's a baseline of what we're going to look at today. That's how we bring the data in from your ERP. So when you first log in, again, I'm logged in as an admin level person only from the standpoint of we can show you the realm of the possible. When you first log in, you're going to have access to your daily summary, your visualizations, your advanced reports, and your functional alerts. These are all things that are typical of what every implementation is going to have when you first log in. And if I look at this and I say, you know what, I want to see my monthly calendar. I want to see what events I've got going on. I've got 8 appointments, 9 activities, and 1 task on my current monthly calendar. If I look at my appointment list, I'll see a number of different appointments. I've got an appointment there for construction for Davis. He's a lead. I can see some account appointments. And if I drill into one of these appointments, what you're going to notice is it's very much set up like an Outlook appointment. Oh, I clicked on the account. Pardon me. It's very much set up like an Outlook appointment. So when I load this up, you're going to see subject, location, start and end time, the attendees. So if this is a meeting request, and then notes within the body. And the notes section is something that I want to talk about in a little bit more detail. There's a lot of benefits to how we do notes in Tour de Force. The big benefit, especially those reps that are traveling, is the talk-to-text capability. Now, you may look at that and go, well, that technology's been around for a long time. You're absolutely correct. And I use it constantly. I'm probably the guiltiest person of being lazy with my text because I will get a text from someone and instead of typing something back, which might be an okay, I would rather do talk-to-text and put my entire sentence in of what I want to tell them. Same applies here. So I go and I'm going to set my appointment to meet with that customer. Normally I might do some shorthand of, yeah, I don't really feel like typing or writing this out. I just don't have time. A lot of people do that. And then you tell them they can do talk to text. They go, well, I can put whatever I want in there. Yeah, you could speak a paragraph if you want and have all those details in the body of that appointment, which is then automatically pushed to your Outlook calendar. So the benefit is now you've got all these notes right there in front of you as you're having a conversation with the customer. So you can record them, you can put them in, you can move on with the rest of your day. Now the appointment, as I mentioned, can be created in Tour de Force and automatically pushed to your Outlook calendar. Generally a question I get at this point is, well, what about all the appointments that are already on my Outlook calendar that I need to maybe bring into Tour de Force, or does it automatically do that? And the short answer is no. We don't automatically bring those into Tour de Force, and the very reason we don't bring those into Tour de Force is related to the fact that you may have appointments on your calendar that have nothing to do with work. If you looked at my calendar, and Kelly has looked at my calendar and tried to schedule stuff, and if you look at anything after 5 o'clock, you'll see soccer practice, gymnastics, soccer practice, golf outing, and it's pretty much that way every week. So when you look at my calendar, in the business sense, I don't want any of that in here. I really don't. I want that on my Outlook calendar, but I don't want it in my daily appointments. If it's after hours, I don't need to know about it. If it's a business-related thing, I do. So we give you the flexibility of being able to manually link an appointment or a task into Tour de Force, but you don't have to automatically pull those in. So I wanted to set the record for that. Now, when you have the appointments here and you go into the data and you say, okay, well, I want to know more about the account associated with that particular appointment. I want to know about their information. You can go in and you can click on the account ID, which is what I did earlier, and you can load up account details. So this is going to have your company name, address, phone number. If you needed to edit that, we show you in a specific setup how to do that. The BI fields, which are going to be related to your account ID and ship to ID. Those are all details that are going to come over from your ERP. Then you've got some other information down here in green that allows you to have, as a company, your own information in these fields. You can manipulate how the data displays. You can have different color backgrounds, whatever you want to do, and it could be pertinent information that goes to the marketing team. Hey, this came from this event. We know that customer came from there. They're automotive and they're OEM, and yes, they're a target account of ours. Those are great pieces of information to know when you're going to create a mailing. So that's information that might be super important to you. Or you want to know all the contacts related to this account. You simply go to the linked items tab. It brings up all the contacts. Now I've got a list of all the contacts related to this one specific account. Or you wanted to look at all the communication, all the emails that go back and forth. One of the other processes that's unique to Tour de Force is the email logging process, and not the fact that we log the emails, how we do it. We don't force you to do anything special to log the emails like a lot of other companies do. At the server level, we will capture the email, we'll compare that email address to the contact or the account in Tour de Force. If it matches, we auto copy that down So the email logging is an automated process that the user just simply has to go about their day and do their normal processes. They can send an email. They know email logging is going to capture it as long as that contact from that customer is going to exist in our system. Could be a customer, could be a vendor, could be a partner, whatever. The information would get captured. So I wanted to mention that because I think that's a very unique piece of what we do with the email logging. Now on top of this, you say, well, Ryan, you keep talking about integration. What about sales data? How do we get access to that? And you're absolutely right. You would get access to that direct from our Advanced Reports tab or from the Sales Data tab. And if I go to my Advanced Reports tab, I can run a scorecard that's going to look a lot like this. This is my standard Tour de Force out-of-the-box customer scorecard. It's got a rolling 12-month sales analysis with profit as well as sales plan. So we do have sales goal planning built into Tour de Force that allows you to put that in there and do comparative analysis. We've got the ability to look at opportunity funnels by sales stage or by opportunity amount or by whatever you would like to look at. Sales by vendor, so you can see for that specific customer, what are my vendor sales. I can see product group mixes. I can see accounts receivable details. You know, this is always a big one. Even though you hope that you don't have people that owe you money, chances are if we ran an AR balance report in our system, they probably do. Rolling 12 sales, you know, 12-month trend. You've got growth analysis here, open orders, open quotes, product group sales, product group mixes. You know, you've got plus side, this is what's on the upside. This is what's on the downside. This is stuff we're not selling this year. Oh, of those, what are the item codes that we're not selling this year? What are the item codes that are doing well? And what are the activities? So, you know, there's a lot of great information. Again, this is a big report, but when you think about what information you need to know about an account to have a conversation, this is probably a lot of what you're looking for. I need to know if they have a balance so I can have a conversation about whether or not we need to have collections and make a phone call. I need to know what their open order quote totals look like or what their open quotes look like. It looks like we have quotes from 2014 that I have yet to follow up on. So there's a lot of great detail we can provide in a standardized report. Now, if you look at that and you say, you know, I'd rather look at the information myself, that is where the sales data tab comes into play. If I wanted to look at all sales for that specific account, which is a general analysis looking at yearly, quarterly, monthly, and as of yesterday, you can look at that and see the information. Maybe you want to look at all the open orders in one tab and be able to analyze the line items. I want to look at the open orders, plus I see an order with a big dollar amount. I want to drill into that and see the order line detail. Certainly we can provide you with that. Here's the order line detail, and you can even show more than that. So Tour de Force offers you that full integration that you really need as a sales rep. And we mentioned earlier, you know, what makes us different, what makes us tick. Our opinion is that the CRM and the sales data should be one. Should be one. Typical CRM's account and contact management with a little bit of appointment and opportunity review, but most of the time people are going to need the sales information, sales analysis, you know, maybe vendor sales, maybe product group sales, potentially what the invoices look like before they can have what I would say is an intelligent conversation with a customer that revolves around exactly what they're trying to accomplish. So those are things that, again, make us a little bit different from everyone else because we expect that you should be accessing or you should be able to see, based on your permissions, sales information about that account or bookings information or whatever the case is about that specific account that you're looking for. So detail-wise, can you get access to a full view of the account? Yes, you can. You can absolutely, in Tour de Force, have access to all of the information about the account in one place. Now, that was reviewing it from the appointment. So I go to the appointment, I meet with the customer. What do I do post-appointment? Well, the post-appointment process is typically going to be creating an activity. The activity is going to be something that looks like this. There's a simple button push called Complete and Convert. It will bring over the details of the appointment to the activity. Then you can simply add a few values to it that's important. On-site visit as the activity type is one. Maybe it's a product demo. Maybe it was an introductory call. Product focus. Multi-select allows you to say, oh, we talked about switchgears too. Great. Let me put that in there. Let me save that. We had a cost savings analysis. We can save them $5,000 by them using our product groups. We discussed value add. Hey, what's the value add proposition for the ABEC company for you? We had John Deere go with us as a vendor, and it was a joint call. So, you know, whatever you would expect to capture from an outside sales call or an on-site visit, that's the type of data that you would want to have in Tour de Force, and that's the type of data you'd want to capture in an activity. The talk to text still works the same down here in the notes details. If you want to make this full screen on your device, you certainly can. Make it easier to see the information. But ultimately, the activity is basically your sales call report that now you don't have to go fill out at the end of the day or the end of the month. It should take you less than 5 minutes after a call with a customer, fill it out, save it, move on to the next appointment for the day. So the daily summary is crucial. Tasks are also available. If you're familiar with tasks, you can certainly do that. That's just like appointments. It just doesn't show up in your calendar, it shows up in your task list. So those are other things you can do with that daily summary. The visualizations that are in here, you absolutely can make changes to this based on your permissions. So if you have permissions within the system to a certain subset of sales data, you can certainly set this value and say, I like bar charts and I want to set that as my default. Fabulous. What this drives is user adoption. The perception that I have control over what I see. Now, yes, you're controlling what displays here, but somewhere in the background, an admin has set what permission level you get. So the only data that you're going to see is based on your permissions anyway. But the perception that I can control what I see, absolutely something fabulous for user adoption. Then if you are a sales manager or are an owner and you want to look at all the sales reps or something like that and you have access to that, we can certainly set it up that way too, and you can set that as your default. Next time you log in, that's what you see on your home screen. And that leads into the alerts and notifications. Now, the alerts and notifications can be based upon anything that comes from your ERP and anything that is created in Tour de Force. So anything we bring over through the BSI connector, anything that we create in Tour de Force can be used within the alerts and notifications. So it could be branch sales details. What is my sale? What is my growth? What is my goal? What is my percent to goal? Could be sales territory, so each of the reps. So maybe I just want a quick analysis. What's their growth look like? Well, who's down? It looks like Jared Hartman's having a struggle. Looks like Matt Hartman's doing okay. It looks like Kevin Smith is killing it this year. Killing it. So maybe he was sandbagging last year and you see he's at 1.5 million this year. At the same time frame as last year, he's 500 grand up. That is fantastic. That's awesome. Or you can go and look down here and you can go, oh my, we've got to talk with Dan. He's 98,000 in the hole. That's a problem. He's not going to be able to catch up. We need to talk about this. His goal set for 133. I don't know if we're going to get there. But those are things that you can have access to when you're looking at your alerts and notifications. A few other examples, maybe largest open orders, largest open quotes. Hey, what were the activities generated that affect my territory in the last 7 days? Ooh, looks like a credit collections call. What in the world were they talking about? And you can open it and easily access the data. So again, in 2 clicks, I have access to what it is that the collections person talked about with my account. Could be information in any number of categories: quotes expiring, single orders past the required due date. Basically, we go through with you as part of the implementation, and we'll lay out exactly what it is that you need to use, or based on what your feedback is, what the alert should be. And that's all part of what we do in our setup. Now, you also have access to some advanced reports. Could be related to the customer scorecard. You may have a salesman scorecard you want to use for each sales rep. Shows their top 15 accounts, their opportunities by sales stage, maybe their product groups and vendor mix, possibly some commission calculation if you'd like. We do have variable calculation for commission. Maybe the rolling 6-month trend in a charted format, as well as a grid that shows you where you're at in relation to goal. Or down into declining accounts and growth accounts. You may have bill twos and ship twos, and you may have a combination of the two, and you may go, hey, my account as a whole is doing fantastic. And then you go look at the individual ship twos and you go, crap, they're not doing as good as I thought. That's where you get access to that data, and you can go, well, I need to pay attention to these 2 ship twos over here because this third one's kicking butt, so it's covering for these 2. So overall, as an account, I'm doing well. However, these 2 individual ship twos are on the decline, and I need to have that conversation. So that's something that you can do. You have access to that data. Then ultimately, what they're creating, activities, opportunities, whatever the productivity measurement is. Potentially, if you're an executive, an executive style report would look something like this. The executive dashboard is a very nice view of what the company looks like as a whole. So if you're looking at it from a 10,000-foot view down, sales by month, you've got profit, you've got sales goal in there, opportunities by sales stage, you've got the top reps, product groups, and vendors. We can even show you inventory valuations. So if you're looking at value on hand cost, what do we have in each warehouse? What's going on? It looks like Sam's Globe, so $69 million in warehouse. That might be an issue. I need to start pushing that. So those are different things that you may want to have on a scorecard, or maybe you're more of a pie chart and a sales goal oriented company. You can do that too. Maybe what are my top branches? What are my top reps? Top accounts? Maybe down into sales by branch. with profit and margin percent, sales by rep, maybe top 15 accounts. Ooh, Ranklax, that jumped into the top 15, yet we don't have a plan for them this year. Probably should talk to that sales rep. So, those are pieces of information that otherwise may take a long time for somebody to produce and provide to your sales force. And out of the box, these are what we offer. These are some standard reports that we offer. A couple more things on the toolbar. We absolutely have a global search. Fantastic tool. I can look at anything in the database. A recent items capability. This is basically my memory. So what was I clicking around on? What was I looking at? Those are all different things that you can do from the recent items. You can click on those and open those, or you can open more than one at a time. The favorites is something that we teach a lot to our customers about. Favorites is a big deal. This gives you access to information where you can say, hey, I want to mark these as favorites. I'm always talking to them. Maybe you want to preload the favorites, and you can look at the data before you walk in the door at a customer site, because you're going to make out your plan for the week. You say you're going to visit 4 or 5 people, and you want to look at that in our navigator. That's where you can start to take advantage of your device as well, because now you can open up an account and look at their sales data tab, open up their sales information, bounce to the next account before you're walking in the door, and look at their sales information. So I can simply jump from one to the other and then look at the details on each one of those accounts, look at the open information, jump to the next account, look at the open information. So the ideal scenario is that you've got this open throughout the day and you can look at details. I even opened an opportunity in this, and you can see it's an opportunity for high medics that's at a $2,500 amount, and we think we're 50% chance of closing that. I'm going to visit them today. I might as well have that opportunity loaded so I can see what it is we need to talk about. So those are all pieces of our standard functionality. Everything I'm showing you today is standard functionality within Tour de Force. So I know we're running a little low on time, so I've got a few minutes left. I want to talk a bit about the Outlook toolbar. Then I'm going to turn it over to Kelly for some Q&A. But Tour de Force is also offered in an Outlook toolbar. So we have the Outlook toolbar with the info center that's installed directly on your laptop or on your desktop. And you've got an example of one of the alerts that are in here. This is a more of an executive style alert. We can do it individually by rep as well. I even have hyperlinks within my email alerts. So again, within a couple clicks of the mouse, I've got access to the data I'm looking for. Or if you look at this and you say, okay, well, what's the big advantage to the toolbar? Well, quite honestly, it's the shortcuts you have access to. I've got my global search and recent items and favorites and same data. But if I click on an email and I can see, hey, this email is logged into Tour de Force, Chris is a contact, maybe I want to research his account a bit. I simply open up the account from the toolbar, and now I can go through and I can look at details just like the outside rep was doing, but I can do it in the comfort of my desk at the office. Maybe I want to look at all the communications with that account in one tab. Absolutely benefits to having access to that from your desktop. All the activities, all the opportunities. Again, the sales data tab is also visible and available. Slightly different format than the web, intentionally. The web only has so much real estate on a smaller device. But in Tour de Force desktop, you'd have a lot more analytical tools too. You look at this and you see I've got a plus sign here. If I wanted to drill into this sales number by vendor or by product group or by item code, I can do that very quickly from that plus sign. If I wanted to see, wait a minute, why are we down in sanitary parts? I can click into that and I can go and say, okay, which item codes are struggling for that specific product group? And you can look into that, and now you've got information that you can use in a conversation with the customer. So it looks like they're not buying diaphragms and there's a couple things they're missing out on. I need to create an appointment to talk to that customer. So you'd be able to do that. You'd have access to that information. So drill down capability, flexibility with seeing the data. Open orders is also available just like on the web. If I wanted to drill into the open orders, I can certainly do that too. Plus sign looks at the line items, or if I just want to open the order as a whole, I can do that simply from clicking on the hyperlink, see the order details, order lines. All available at the account level. All can be rolled up to the main bill to level as well. So you can see everything based upon the rights you have, number one, but number two, you can see everything based upon the accounts you can see. General summary tab, that is something that's super beneficial to have a quick glance. What's the last invoice? What's the last payment? Again, aging balance might be important to you. Credit status might be important to you. Maybe you don't visit customers that are on credit hold, or maybe you do. That might be something to know about. Might be a list you can create. But that's all available direct from the Outlook toolbar based upon the email. I can then go in and view information. Maybe I want to see the emails linked to this particular contact. I can do that. Maybe I want to create a new appointment or create a new task, so I can do that. All that information is available from the toolbar. And one last thing to note is the Info Center. That is definitely something that you can take advantage of. The Info Center is really where you start getting into more of the administrative side and some more of the management side of what you can do, especially from inside sales, customer relationship management type stuff. You could have your reports just like on web. Executive president logs in and he wants that report to load up every time he logs in. Fabulous, we can do that. Or you want to be able to look at a list of all of the activities that have occurred in a specific territory for the week. You can do that. You can have then automated alerts send to you the same results if you want. But if I want to look at all the alerts or all the activities in the last 7 days, I can do that. Or all the activities by rep in the last 90 days, I can do that. Then I can go in and say, you know what, show me all the details. So I know that I'm going through this quick and we're going to have this recorded and out there so you can take a look at this again. But this is really just to get you a flavor for what Tour de Force can do. There's a lot more than that, but in the short time we had, I wanted to make sure we had time for Q&A. So I wanted to turn this back over to Kelly and Gary and make sure that we answer all the questions appropriately today. And if you have additional questions, I'd encourage you to jump on our website and ask one of our solution coordinators or solution advisors to set up a live demo so we can go through individually with you what it is you're looking to accomplish. So Kelly and Gary, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you and we'll get into some Q&A.
All right,
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Let's see here. As far as questions, I haven't seen anybody raise their hand or any questions come through. Are you seeing anything different, Gary?
No, I haven't seen any questions now, but if you have any, go ahead and take a minute and get them typed in, and we'll answer them, and then we can close it out. So.
In the meantime, Ryan, is there anything additional you want to add?
No, not a lot, just a little bit. Just wanted to say if you've got questions, again, feel free to jump on our website. There's other archived webinars on there too on specific topics. Customer testimonial videos if you'd like to take a look at even as recent as late last year. We've got tons of great coverage and discussions with our customers. Again, great resources on our website as well. So if you haven't been on there, I'd encourage you to jump on there. And then if you really have some detailed questions, we can get a hold of Trent Thompson, who is our Director of Sales, and have him involved in the conversation as well.
Okay. Yeah, still not seeing any questions, so you must have done an excellent job of presenting, Ryan, because you answered every conceivable question out there.
He always does. He does a really good job.
All right, we can wrap it up then. I want to thank you guys for doing the presentation today and thank everybody for attending, and hope to see you at TUG.